The 19th of March, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashavua.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Rabbi. Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov. Lou, you're still elusive. Don't see you.
Hi.
Oh, here he is.
Okay.
We're in a new book.
Chumash Vayikra. Okay. By the way, it was probably the entire Sefer Vayikra, with the exception of there's only one piece of narrative. Well, correction. Two pieces of narrative in the entire Chumash Vayikra. One piece of narrative is, it says, Vahi Bayom Hashmini, and prior to that, the 7 days of inauguration of Aaron and his sons as priests, and what happened on the 8th day, which was Rosh Chodesh Nisan, according to most Mefarshim. That was one thing. That's basically in Parshas, end of Parshas Tzav and the beginning of Parshas Shmini. And then there's another incident where it says that it says there was somebody who was in the camp, who was the son of Shlomis bar Divri, who wanted to make a claim. His father wasn't Jewish, and he was the only one of the people of the Jewish people whose mother was Jewish and his father was not Jewish. Anyway, he laid claim. He wanted to have a portion in part in the community, also a portion in the land of Eretz Yisrael, which he was entitled to, and he got into a fight with somebody. It doesn't say who the other person was, and he blasphemed Hashem, and that's the only thing, and says that he was put to death. But only those are the only two narrative incidents. The rest is all halacha, primarily to do with Kohanim, and that's why it's called in Tanakh literature. It's called Teras Kohanim. Okay, the laws of Kohanim. Okay. Anyway, Parshas Vayikra itself, Parshas Vayikra, not Sefer Vayikra, Parshas Vayikra deals entirely with korbanos. Okay, let's start. Meir.
Vayikra El Moshe Vaydaber Hashem Elav Me'ohel Moed Le'mor. So he called to Moshe and he said, Hashem spoke to him from the tent of meeting, saying,
Right.
Oh, okay.
Now there's a lot of Rashi on this, but the one point which Rashi does not dwell on is the chayres of something very strange about the lashon of the pasuk, by the language of the pasuk. Vayikra el Moshe, he called to Moshe. Doesn't say who. And then the next continues, Vayadaber Hashem Elav, and Hashem spoke to him from the tent of meeting, saying. The chayre should have said Vayikra Hashem el Moshe, Vayadaber Elav me'ol moed le'mor. Hashem called to Moshe, and he spoke to him from the tent of meeting, saying. Why does the Hashem omitted from the pasuk and only put in there later? Okay, something to bear in mind. I'm not sure we're going to have a teretz to it, but we'll see. Okay, it says the Rashi.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't hear you.
Okay, I'm here. Get my
Let's
mic
see you,
working better.
yeah.
Okay, so Rashi, Vayikra el Moshe, called to Moshe, L'chol dibrot u'l'chol amirot u'l'chol tzivoyim, kadma. Okay, so what's this?
Okay.
Yes, calling.
The kol dibros, for every time it says Vayedaber Hashem, let's say El Moshe Lemor, or every time it says Vayedaber Hashem, Hashem spoke to Moshe, U'l'chol amiros, and every time it says Vayomer Hashem, Hashem said to Moshe, so first spoke, Ledaber means speak, he spoke to him, means he got into had a conversation with him, dialogue with him, Dafka dialogue, could be a monologue. But as far as Hashem was concerned, but Hashem communicated to Moshe. Vayedaber means he spoke. Doesn't go into the actual words. Vayomer Hashem Moshe means these are saying the actual words. He said to Moshe. Okay? And similarly, Chol Tzivuyim, every time it says Vayetzav Hashem es Moshe. Okay? Every time you got those any one of those three types of phrases, Kadma Kriya. There was a call from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe before he actually spoke to him. Right. Okay.
Says, let's see, going on. Lashon Kiba, Lashon She Malachei Hasharet Mishtamshim, and then it gives, I guess, an example. Shnei v'kara ze el ze v'amar.
Right.
Okay.
Now, what
So
Rashi means as follows. So it's interesting. What does it mean Hashem called to Moshe? And what in what respect is it Lashon Chibah, expression of endearment? So it's interesting. I had a few years ago, I thought about this. Let's say, Mayor, I'm walking down the street and you're walking the other side and you don't see me. And I call out to you, Mayor! Okay, is that an expression of endearment?
No, it's an expression to get one's attention.
Correct. But if now, like here, I'm speaking to you right now, and then I say, Mayor, right? I call you a thing. Now, I don't need to say the word Mayor because I'm talking to you anyway.
Right.
That is an expression of endearment. I only mentioning your name and calling to you is to show you, to maybe to sharpen your attention, but the ikazach is to show you, I've got something to tell you. I want something special to tell you. So that's an expression of endearment. So that wasn't saying, Moshe! As if it's the other thing, it was saying, Moshe, I've got something to tell you. And he told him, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him. And mentioning the name is unnecessary because basically HaKadosh Baruch Hu was, Moshe Rabbeinu could have been already in Hashem's presence. But each time HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to Moshe, he says, Moshe, I've got something to tell you. And he didn't need to name the name Moshe, but saying the name Moshe is like an expression of love and endearment. Okay?
Right.
Aval.
Okay. Aval, Nivi'ei Umot Ha'olam. Okay, so the prophets of the nations, okay, Nigla Alehem B'Shon Arai V'Tum'ah. So he revealed on them Lashon, in their language Arai. Wow, tuma is impure. Arai is
Purity. All right. Temporal, in a temporal expression.
uh-huh. Oh,
I
he
would
gives
say, unfortunately, explain in a way like he caught him after the meeting, right? You know, sometimes you need to speak to an official or something like that. So he won't accept, he won't give you a time for actually this thing. But on his way out, in between meetings or whatever, you catch him and you manage to put forward your request. That's how Kosh Baruch Hu speaks to the Nevi'ei Umas Ha'olam. Right? It's not in a proper formal meeting, conversation with them, but more like derech agav. That's what Rashi means, in a temporal way. Kosh Baruch Hu speaks to them, but not in a proper, giving them a proper audience. Okay, all needs to say, all these are just metaphors for just to give us an understanding of a better understanding of how Hashem spoke to them. What Rashi pointing out means the whole connection between Hashkosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu and who had in other Jewish prophets was on a much higher level than those his connection with the prophets of the nations. It's interesting. Rashi says, which means in a plural. It sounds like Kosh Baruch Hu appeared to a number of non-Jewish prophets. The Maisa, we only find that Bilam was the only one that Kosh Baruch Hu revealed himself. So he revealed himself. So I don't know. Could be there were others.
what about was Yitro considered the prophet?
Nope.
Oh no, he wasn't. Okay.
It says, Lemaisa, Chazal say in Parshas Balak, Bilam is called Bilam ben Ba'or. And there's a rule when a prophet and his father as well, by name, then that means his father was a prophet as well. So it could well be that, so you see, Ba'or was also considered a prophet. Okay.
Now, Rashi has a second, Vayikra el Moshe. Hakol holech umagia leoznav. The voice went, let's see, and arrived to his ears.
Right.
Okay.
Reached his ears, meaning Moshe Rabbeinu heard, but B'chol Yisrael.
Oh, lo shomim. All of Israel did not hear it. Okay. Yachol
Means the Kosh Baruch Hu controlled the sound, that the sound was directed directly at Moshe, and others didn't hear. Even though technically, according to the laws of physics, sound is a sound, and it spreads, and you cannot necessarily control it to say, well, only this person's going to hear it and not the other person. Now, Kosh Baruch Hu is in control of sound, needless to say.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Kosh Baruch Hu could do that. He said the sound, meaning Kosh Baruch Hu spoke directly to Moshe in such a way that the sound only reached Moshe and not others. Now, Rashi's going to say, Rashi's going to mention that it wasn't because the sound was quiet. It was a quiet sound. It means it was a controlled sound, but the sound only was directed at Moshe and nobody else heard it.
Okay. So Yachol af lahafsakot hayta kriya.
Yochel, I thought, even lahafsakot.
That there were breaks.
Even for the breaks. Now, what Rashi is going to explain later, the breaks are at the end of every section, you've got a samach or pay to divide up the different sections. Okay? So I might think that at each point where there's a break, there was a new call to Moshe.
Ah,
I'll give you an example. Here you got Pasuk Tes, Pasuk Yud actually. You see before Pasuk Yud, between Tes and Yud, there's a Samach. Now those, which means Samach means a Parsha Stuma, means a break where the next section begins on the same line. Okay?
Hold on.
So I might think over there, one second, there's a break over here. So next time before Hashem spoke to Moshe and said to him, "In binatzon karbonoi," Pasuk Yud, he again said to him, Moshe, v'im binatzon karbonoi. He again had another call to him. So the answer is no. Okay, that's what Rashi's saying over here. Yochol, I might think,
Okay,
Afla Sokis Hoise Kriya.
Let's see. Okay. Talmud Lomar to teach us. Okay, Vaydaber. Lidaber Haytat Kriya.
Vayikra Moshe Vayidaber Hashem Elo.
Vaydaber. Oh.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have that. I don't know why I don't, but
Talmud Lom Vayidaber. Ledibo Hoisa Kriya V'lo Lafsakos. Only for a dibor, when it was actually the beginning of a speech of a Kosh Baruch Hu. It says, Vayidaber Hashem El Moshe or Elov, then that was preceded by a call. But Loiv Lahav Sockers. Okay? So Abazoi, what was the point of the Hafsakas? It wasn't a new speech for the Kosh Baruch Hu. Uma Hayu Hafsakas Misham Shois. What was the purpose of these breaks, these gaps? You with me?
yeah, okay. So what was the purpose? Litain Revach Lemoshe Lihit Bonain. So it's to give Moshe a break to understand it. Lahit Bonain, no, that's Lahavin. Contemplate. Okay. Bein Parasha le Parasha, between each part of the Torah.
In each section.
Okay. Uvein inyan le inyan, and each topic from the other. Kal v'chomer lehedyot halomed min hedyot. In the Kal v'chomer, so an ordinary person also, that the simple person can learn from another
ordinary person.
Ordinary.
Two regular people, that the teacher has to make sure when he teaches something, a concept or anything to his student, then he's got to make sure, give the student time. Oh no, he'll tell him over the concept, he'll tell him over the whatever the knowledge, information, and they should give time for the student to be able to absorb and contemplate on what he's just learned, that he can absorb it and understand it fully before the teacher carries on to the next concept. Okay? Yeah, there's one point which I wanted to make over here. Oh yeah, but going back to our original question, why doesn't it say Vayikra Hashem El Moshe, Vayidaber Elov Me'el Moed Lemor? The Chayra, and this is just a suggestion of my own, is that the Torah wants to point out that the Vayikra Moshe is subsidiary to the pasuk Vayidaber Hashem Elov. There's the ikka of the pasuk is Hashem spoke to Moshe. The Torah is telling you, by the way, that prior to every speech of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe, he also gave him a call, as I mentioned before. He called his name as an intro to his speech to him. But the ikka is the speech. That's the Vaydaber Hashem Elov. That's the ikka of the pasuk. And every time there was Hashem spoke to him, so it's telling us Vayikra Moshe. He called to him before that. And that's what Torah is indicating by not mentioning Hashem first, only afterwards. Okay? Let's go on to the next Rashi. Elov.
Lema'ed et Haron. Oh, to leave out Aharon, okay. Rabbi Yehuda ben Betero Omer, hello, Esrei Dibrod. Shloshes,
Yeah.
Shlosh Esrei Dibrod Ne'emru B'Torah LeMoshe L'Aharon. So there were 13 sayings in the Torah to both Moshe and Aharon.
Right, 13 times it says that Hashem spoke to Moshe and to Aaron.
Oh, okay. Ukenegdan Shlosh Esrei Miutin the Medachach
13 limitations.
13 limitations, okay.
Meaning 13 times a limiting phrase.
Okay.
A love to him, mashma to him specifically.
Right. Lamedecha shelo laharon nemaru. So that's the
They were not said to Aaron. Elo leMoshe. Sheyomar leAaron.
Oh, okay. Only to Moshe. Okay.
He was in turn to Aaron.
Okay. She Yomar laharon.
Then afterwards, when it says Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe ve'el Aaron, doesn't mean Hashem spoke to both of them together, but rather it means Hashem spoke to Moshe, who in turn was to say it over to Aaron. Okay?
Oh, okay. Let's just speak to him. Okay. Midaber Elav, speaking to him. What are these examples? Vaydaber, and he spoke to him. Nodati lecha.
And I will, no aditi lecha, I will convene with you.
Oh, convene with you. Okay.
It says lecha, with you.
Right. Okay. Kulan Torah Kohanim. And these are all
the 13
listed.
examples are mentioned in Torah's Kohanim.
Which is Vayikra?
Now, excuse me a second. Now Rashi is going now on to another point. Okay.
Okay.
Rashi mentioned before. Vayikra el Moshe, hakol holech umagia leoznov, v'chol Yisrael lo shomim. Right, that the sound, Kosh Baruch Hu's voice, reached Moshe Rabbeinu's ears, but the rest of the Jewish people didn't hear. Now Rashi's saying over here, okay. So now Rashi says, continues from where he said over.
Okay, so Yachol Yishma'u et Kol
Shamu es Kol HaKriya. Right? Maybe they heard the call. Kosh Baruch Hu saying, Moshe. Maybe everybody heard that.
Okay. So Talmud Lomar Kol Elav. So the Torah says.
In his other psukim where it says, Vayishma Sakol Midaber Elo. He heard the Kosh Baruch Hu speaking to him. So esakol elo, the sound, the voice was only to him.
Okay. So
Moshe shama, Moshe heard it, v'chol Yisrael lo shamu, but the rest of Klal Yisrael didn't hear. Okay, now the next Rashi is going to explain that maybe it was a quiet sound.
Okay, so it says Me'ohel Moed from the tent of meeting. Milamed shehaya hakol nifsak. So it teaches that the hakol, the voices would stop.
Yeah.
Nifsak. Okay, below haya,
Moshe Rabbeinu heard it as soon as it got to the edge of the Ohel Moed, or should we see? Then it didn't go further.
Oh, okay. Below haya yotzer b'chutz li ohel, doesn't go outside there of the ohel. Okay, yachol mitnei hakol namuch. So one is able to say.
I might think it's because the sound, the voice was of
low.
a low volume, was low.
Okay.
It was a quiet voice.
Et kol.
Talmud Loima, so it says, et hakol.
Oh, Talmud Lomar.
Moshe Rabbeinu heard the sound. Mazeh hakol, mashma with a definite article. The sound.
Hu hakol hamiforash.
Hamisparish b'Tehillim.
Oh, so this
is that sound which is mentioned explicitly in Tehillim.
In Tehillim. Okay, Kol Hashem b'koach, Kol Hashem behadar, Kol Hashem shover arazim.
It was a very loud, powerful sound. As the Pasuk says, Kol Hashem b'koach, the voice of Hashem with strength, Kol Hashem behadar, the voice of Hashem with majesty. Kol Hashem, the voice of Hashem, shover arazim, breaking cedars. That's from the force produced by the sound waves of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's voice. It was so strong that it broke down cedars. So it was a very powerful sound.
So,
nevertheless, it only went to the edge of the, in other words, it was only audible, it was only heard inside the Ohel Moed, but outside the Ohel Moed you couldn't hear anything.
That's why
In pain, if that was such a powerful sound, Lama Nema Me Ohel Moed, Hashem spoke to him from Ohel Moed, Melamed Shahaya Hakol Nifsak. That this teaches you that the sound stopped abruptly. It was an extremely powerful sound, extremely loud sound, but as soon as it got to the entrance of the Ohel Moed, it stopped. And it could not be heard b'chlal outside the Ohel Moed. By the way, don't think that the walls of the Mishkan or the Beis Hamikdash were made of special, what do you call it? Sound-absorbing material. Like you have these things nowadays. What do you call it? I don't know what it's called. The special made of special material that absorbs sound that you cannot. They use it in studios and places like that. That you can't. The sound stays in and not beyond. No. It was made of albeit quite a thick curtain, but nevertheless, it wasn't of the ability to cut out sound totally. Okay.
So it says,
says Rashi, a similar example of this we find.
Okay, V'chol kanfei hakeruvim nishma ad hechatzer hachitzona. The sound of the wings of the Keruvim were heard until the outer courtyard. Okay. Yachol mitnei hakol namuch. One might think that it was because the sound was soft. Talmud lomar b'chol kel shadkai
Shakai.
b'dabro. So
This is the wings. It seems that the chart over there is that the wings of the Kruvim, they would flap their wings, even though they obviously were made of gold. That it was heard only at hachotzer chitzona, till the outside courtyard, which means in the Azora itself, but not outside. It didn't even reach the outside chotzer. It means ad hachotzer chitzona, but not inclusive.
Okay, so Talmud Lomar, we did this. Kel Shaddai Bid Dabro.
It was a very strong, loud, powerful sound, but nevertheless, Im Kain Loma Nema Ad Achotzer Achitzona. It says it was heard till the outside courtyard. Shekiven Shemagia Sham Hayon Nifsak. Once it reached the outer chotzer, suddenly the sound stopped. In other words, it could not be heard in the chotzer, it could only be heard inside the Beis HaMikdash. Okay. Now, so basically what Rashi is saying is that the voice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking very loud and powerfully, but that sound was only audible, was only heard inside the Mishkan itself, or inside the Beis HaMikdash itself later on, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu communicated. Maisa, I don't think HaKadosh Baruch Hu communicated, could be, to other prophets that way. But anyway, certainly to Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was in the Mishkan, HaKadosh Baruch Hu communicated to him in the Mishkan. As we're going to see whereabouts, see where Kodesh Baruch Hu, the voice emanated from. Kolponim, Kodesh Baruch Hu, voice could be heard in the Mishkan itself, but only in the structure of the Mishkan itself, but not outside in the courtyard. Okay, let's just do one more Rashi.
Okay, so from the tent of meeting saying, Yachol mikol habayit, Talmud Lomar Me'al HaKaporet.
Where did the sound emanate from? So I might think that the sound emanated and reverberated from the entire Mishkan. The sound emanated from the entire area. Talmud Loima, the Torah says elsewhere in end of Parshas Nasa, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to Moshe Me'al HaKaporos, from upon the cover of the Oren. Yochol, I might think Me'al HaKaporos Kula, right, from the top of the Kaporos in its entirety. Talmud Loima mibein shnei hakruvim, from in between the two cherubs. So that's where the voice emanated from. That the HaKadosh Baruch Hu's voice emanated from the Oron, right? The ark, from the top of the ark, the covering of the ark, from in between the two cherubs. That's where the voice emanated from, and it could only be heard in the Oil Moed. Okay, I think we'll leave it alone.
Okay.
Okay. I wish everybody a very good day.
You too. Thank you very much.
Mayor.
Okay, tortilla.